Locals were promised jobs. Landowners were promised compensation. With Chinese builders in full swing, will Kenyans ever see the economic benefits of the Mandaraka Express? Christian leaders promote peace and tolerance in northern Nigeria. And highlights from the Afropunk Festival in New York. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCorry. This is Africa 54. Tonight we begin in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the health ministry says the nation has recorded its first case of Ebola in the Eastern Trading Center of Butembo. The city of nearly 1 million people has strong trade ties to neighboring Uganda. The current Ebola outbreak in the DRC is believed to have killed at least 85 people since July and infected another 39. Most of the deaths occurred in villages, but some 20 cases have been in Beni, a city of several 100,000 people, also with close links to Uganda. Health officials report progress in slowing the spread of Ebola with experimental vaccines and treatments, but they say they cannot be sure that the situation is under control due to difficulties accessing some areas. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is defending China's involvement in Africa, saying the continent's relationships with Beijing is entering a golden age. Ramaphosa was speaking at the close of a two-day China-Africa summit in Beijing, during which China pledged $60 billion in new development financing for African countries. At the start of the summit, President Ramaphosa called for ways to resolve the trade imbalance between China and Africa. Beijing faces increasing criticism over its debt-heavy African projects, but Ramaphosa says the economic value of Africa's relationship with China is becoming more important in an increasingly uncertain global environment.
China is open, but not only open, it wants to open the access to its market for value-added goods from Africa. Many countries have the sense that in China we have a meaningful partner who is not just there to rape and plunder resources from the African continent, but a partner who wants to assist the fellow partners to reach higher levels of industrialization.
Well, Ramaphosa rejected the view that a new form of colonialism is taking place in Africa.
Refuting and debunking this notion that is propagated by people who are envious and jealous of this relationship, that it's a new colonialism. There's no new colonialism. This is a relationship that has its roots deep in history.
Well, for analysis on China-Africa relations, ex-N Iraqi, a senior economics lecturer at the University of Nairobi, joins me by phone from Nairobi. Good evening, Dr. Iraqi.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine. Now, African leaders are telling their citizens that they should not be worried at all about this relationship with China. But there are people who are saying it looks like we may be getting into a trap here, especially with the huge debts or huge interests. What is your take as an economist?
The issue of debt, Chinese debt in Africa, has been very contentious. A lot of people are saying that China is going to use debt to trap African countries and plunder their resources. But I don't believe it, because every country, most of the countries in the world have developed by getting some debt. We also develop ourselves by getting some debt. So I think the most important thing is for African countries to put the money they get from China into good use, to make the economies more productive. But in the long run, they will not need any debt from China or from anywhere else to develop the economies and take care of their citizens. So I don't think we need to fear that.
But how about the observation that in most of this big infrastructure development, the African nations don't seem to have a say. China seems to be kind of doing whatever they want, whichever way they want, and yet Africa is going to pay for it in the long run.
It's very simple. When a country wants to build a come up with a project in Africa, whether it is in Kenya or Uganda or whichever country, it is important for African leaders and the policymakers to negotiate, not just take whatever they are given. Just because somebody is giving you money does not mean that you should do whatever you are told. So I think I blame African leaders and policymakers for not negotiating well enough for the projects that China is sponsoring.
And in terms of what China is really at the moment getting out of the continent and it's this very heavy investment, what's your take? Some people look at a country like Kenya and say, what does China want from Kenya? What does China want from Uganda?
I think China is doing what any other country to pursue its interests. Those interests don't always carry with most countries' interests. So China has been developing very fast in the last 30 years. I think they have saturated the whole market, so they are looking for new markets. Industrialization needs sources of raw materials. They must look for those raw materials wherever they can be found. So China is just pursuing its interests like any other country, the same way we individually pursue our own interests. So China is not doing anything different from what America has done, what Germany has done, or other countries in the world. They have always pursued their interests.
And in terms of the accusation that they might be having some kind of semblance of colonialism in some way indirectly?
I don't think China is ever going to become a colonial power anytime for one simple reason. China has never been a colonial power. It has no experience running a colony. In fact, China, like Africa, has been a victim of other colonial powers. The Portuguese were in Macau. The Japanese came to Manchuria. The British came to Hong Kong. So China is a victim like Africa of colonialism. So I don't understand why China would ever dream of becoming a colonial power.
So you're happy with, you're comfortable mostly with China's investment and involvement with African countries?
As long as they are productive to both the countries, as long as what Chinese leaders are saying is implemented, the win-win policy. If they can do that, I have no problem.
Wow. Great. We'll be observing this. It's a long-term thing. Dr. Iraqi, we do appreciate very much your insight. Our thanks.
Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Our thanks to Dr. X.N. Iraqi, who is a senior economics lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Now, staying there, the Kenyan government promised jobs for locals and compensation for landowners along the route of its new train. With Chinese builders blasting away, some Kenyans are still waiting. VOA's Ndimiake Mwakaliele narrates part 3 of our China-Africa series, the Madaraka Express.
From its placid coastline and glistening savannas to its urban chaos and slums, Kenya is a land of great beauty and contradiction. As Kenyans work to boost their emerging economy, they have become partners with the Chinese, taking on billions in Chinese debt for Kenya's biggest construction job ever, the Standard Gauge Railway, the SGR. On May 31st, 2017, Kenya opened the first phase from the port city of Mombasa to Nairobi. About 30 kilometers southwest of Nairobi is Gong, a town once inhabited mostly by the Maasai, nomads who once controlled this part of Africa before colonial times. As it slices northward toward Uganda, the SGR carves through Maasai country. China Road and Bridge Corporation, the railway builder, took 26 acres of land in nearby Kimuka for a temporary headquarters. Construction brought a drastic transformation and discontent. Baba is a respected Maasai elder who has owned and lived on his land in Gong for more than 30 years.
No, nothing. Kera bendo ini saina mbala ni saina. Kai di ngura bi enjoy aba me imeki na ni They were told to wait for government, and they are still waiting for government up to now.
More recently, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered his government to speed up compensation for landowners. China Road and Bridge Corporation has said that 9 of 10 construction workers are Kenyans. Tension over jobs have triggered protests and violence. Another protest turned deadly.
Hapo mahali ilikuwa vijana wamejaa, lakini ilikuwa wengi huko mbele kwa ile gate blue ndio ameshoot hapo.
Local Maasai said a group of men went to the SGR construction camp looking for work. In a statement of condolences, China Road and Bridge Corporation said the shooting on January 6, 2018 was in self-defense to a threatening crowd. But the Kiraison family said their son, Joseph, was not armed. They want the officer who fired the shot arrested and compensation for their eldest son's life. Although many Kenyans welcomed the Chinese-built train for its convenience and the hope it will bring prosperity, but here on the route, some say the SGR has only made their lives worse.
To the west now, the Christian Association of Nigeria is asking Christian leaders to play more critical roles in promoting peace in the northern region, without which there can be no real development. At a peace summit in Jos, the Plateau state capital, speakers including clergy preached the urgent need to blur dividing lines in the ethnically and culturally diverse part of the country. We get more in this channel's television report.
Leaders from the northern part of Nigeria, including those of religious and political institutions and public office holders, gather for a peace summit in Jos, north-central Nigeria. Much like the nation, the region comprises people of diverse cultures, languages and religion, which brings to bear the need to work towards peaceful coexistence. The meeting is organized by the Christian Association of Nigeria, with the aim of highlighting the roles that Christian leaders can play to promote peace, particularly in the face of herders and farmers' conflict.
Christian leaders, we are expected to play a critical role in the development of our societies, states, and countries of the world, judging from what we have seen from happenings in different countries, including Nigeria. As Christian leaders in northern Nigeria, we have every reason to be worried over recent ugly security development in our region, following attacks and killings in communities and some states of the north by people who do not wish our country good.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation blames the level of atrocity being committed on the loss of moral values, while the Plateau State Governor commits to encouraging alternative dispute resolution amongst parties to the conflict.
We've destroyed those traditional methods of solving our problems. The bonds of relationship that used to exist amongst our people have also been destroyed, not as a result of any other thing, but there have been institutional failures all over the place. All manners of things have happened. Even within the family cycle, there have been a breakdown of family bonds, of levels of discipline. So we are paying the dire consequences.
There are also, like he said, other traditional or complementary efforts we must make if we want to live in peace. Peace, to bring peace, is not the responsibility of government alone. It's the responsibility of everybody. So that is why we're trying to be inclusive. That's why we've organized this summit, for people to understand. There are concepts that people don't understand.
The summit provides a platform to identify and address the underlying issues fueling tension amongst farming communities and pastoralists, as well as deliberate on adopting effective conflict prevention measures even before violence erupts.
With that report from Channels Television in Nigeria. Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our show live on Facebook, so check us out and share our show with your friends. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory. Still ahead on Africa 54, highlights from New York's Afropunk extravaganza. But first, a look at Wednesday's headlines.
In Zimbabwe, members of parliament were officially sworn in 2 weeks after President Emmerson Mnangagwa's inauguration. In Rwanda, provisional election results show that the country's ruling party is likely to win 3/4 of the elected parliament seats. In Libya, the UN has brokered a ceasefire to end a conflict that has resulted in the deaths of at least 50 people and injured 138, most of whom are civilians. In Botswana, an unprecedented mass poaching resulted in the deaths of almost 100 elephants. Finally, the International Court of Justice ruled that Britain is not legally allowed to claim Chagos Islands, agreeing with the U.S. since the island houses one of the U.S.'s major military bases.
Well, the technology sector provides many jobs for today's innovators. But one scientist and teacher in Cameroon says there is no reason why women should not be part of the technological growth. She's making it her goal to prepare more young girls to enter the workforce. Here's VOA's Arash Arabasadi.
The kids controlling these robots are studying to become the innovators of the future. At a time when 95% of the kids around the world who do not attend school are girls, these young women hope to change that.
Other people inspired me with their stories, with what they did, and I want to empower myself as well, and also I aspire to inspire other girls to take part in such activities.
Here at the Next Gen Center in Cameroon, about 20 young students are learning how to write code and build robots, skills that may help them fill the jobs of tomorrow while addressing gender inequality and the lack of opportunities for women today.
If there's any young girl that has exceptional ability and is extraordinary, it's all about helping them get to where they want to go to. Actually, it starts with them. It's a dream. So nurturing someone's dream and then taking the person to the height of their ability.
The most recent data from the United Nations shows that women and girls account for 60% of Cameroon's illiterate population. By focusing on girls, NextGen is hoping to move more women away from poverty.
We do not want to find situations where people are not achieving their potential because they did not have the opportunity. So we are leveling the ground.
Which paves the way for next-gen students like Lynn, who wants to someday build a robot that can translate conversations between doctors and patients who live in remote areas.
If they can speak in their own language and the robot translates it to the doctor, which will be able to interpret what they're suffering from and find a cure for them.
NextGen's founder has initiated a similar program to train 800 students. That's a big win for everyone, not just young women. The latest UN research shows that if all girls in the world received a secondary education, child deaths would be cut in half, saving 3 million lives across the globe. Arash Arbasadi, VOA News.
Welcome back to Africa 54, and here's what's trending. Nike is putting Colin Kaepernick back in the spotlight. The former quarterback was the first in America's National Football League to kneel in protest against racism and police brutality. Now, Nike has added him to a lineup of athletes to feature in a new ad campaign to mark the 30th anniversary of its Just Do It slogan. Kaepernick shared an image from the ad on social media, which has the quote, "Believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything." Nike's decision sparked backlash, resulting in a boycott and Nike shares falling 2%. Well, and finally, robotic sailboats are competing to conquer the seas in a high-tech world championship. Self-sailing boats operate on similar principles to self-driving cars. They use sensors to scan their surroundings and feed the data to an artificial intelligence system that gives instructions to the vehicle. While self-driving cars have to contend with pedestrians and other traffic, autonomous boats face storms that bring fierce gales and high waves, as well as numerous seaborne hazards. Now, the technology for unmanned boats is now becoming robust enough to carry out extended missions, dramatically cutting costs for ocean research, border security and surveillance in rough or remote waters. And that's what's trending today. Well, lovers of Afro-punk gathered in New York for a weekend festival where more than 90,000 people saw outdoor performances by Kaytranada, Sampar, DZ Rascal and Mesa Gray. Viewer reporters Ekia Badu and Triza Matondo went to Brooklyn and have our story.
It's a festival that was born to combat racism, sexism and homophobia in the new century. It began in this park in Brooklyn with some 50 young people standing up for who they are and what they believe. Now it is a mix of music and fashion, Black American flags and photography, sports and music.
And so it's changed so much. Well, the thing about the title Afro-Punk is it used to be a punk rock festival, you know, so it was all about black punk music. So now I think it's evolved into something else. It's evolved into something bigger. It's evolved into something more inclusive.
It was about maybe when I was 17 years old, we used to come here and hang out and have picnics, listen to music and have fun, and just seeing the evolution of how big it has become. Still the same energy, good vibes, you know, more people from other states and other countries.
Give them some sight, my delirium, hypnotic illusion.
My name is Joshua Reese. I live in Atlanta, but I'm from Jamaica.
My name is Lucy Chile, aka Leffy. I'm from South Africa.
My name is Amanda. I'm from South Africa as well, from Joburg. Yes, I'm here for Afro-Punk. We flew in on Thursday for Afro-Punk.
My name is Diane. I live in Montreal, but I am from Paris.
My name is Ishmael. I came from Ottawa. It took me 8 hours to come here.
This is the best festival of my life.
I think people think of the punk culture as a white culture, and there's black folks like me and like my friends and like my partner who are outliers who don't look like other black folks. And so this is a space for us to come in and just really be the best of who we are.
La culture noire,
black culture can be different and also quite diverse. Although with one culture, there's a great variety, which you can see here.
That is the punk in Afro-punk, the rebel spirit of counterculture border that its expression in music and art. Though it started out free, there is now a charge for the concerts as organizers has expanded the festival to other cities including Atlanta, Paris, London, Johannesburg and Dakar.
Well, joining me now is my French colleague Ekia Badu. Ekia, welcome to Africa 54.
Hi.
So you had a good time up there in New York?
Yes.
Yeah. So just share with us a little bit what you had from the people at this festival, how Africans and African Americans have been able to embrace the punk and punk rock, something that is mostly associated with white people, white Americans.
It's strange because it's only word. Many people is here to stay proudly of yourself, and the lineup is very open-ended. For example, last 2 years ago, Lenny Kravitz participate, the same with Grace Jones or Davido, and people need this word like I'm proud of yourself. For example, if you are fat, you need to say, I'm fat and so. I'm skinny and so. Yeah. I have red hair and so. It's very important for black people to have a platform for express I'm proudly of myself.
Oh, so in fact that is what I wanted to ask. It wasn't just about the music, you know, there were other there were other ways people expressing themselves, yeah?
It's not only music. Yeah. Yes.
So
it's
what
not
else?
only music. People need to express yourself. It's not music. Music is the example, but the hobby, but it's a movement. Afropunk is a movement,
so it's kind of the music was the magnet. It's what brought the people together to that space.
Yeah.
But it helps people to come and showcase not only their music but their culture. I noticed that, you know, everybody's dressing in their own different.
Yes, people
cool way.
arrive with many dresses from everywhere and with many messages.
Yeah.
For example, there are many people gay. And people need to express, I love my guy, and I want to kiss my guy everywhere, in front of everyone. It's very a place for express all. Yeah.
I even had some French there, so that language is also another thing, that people came with all their languages from all over the world. It doesn't discriminate. It's not just one.
Culture is universal. Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Music is universal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fashion is universal.
Yeah. I can tell you had a good time.
There are many exhibitions, not only music, exhibition and fashion clothes.
Very nice.
I hope you try next
someday.
week.
Thanks a lot for joining us and sharing some of the fun with us. Yeah. All right. That's Ekia Badu from VOA's French service reporting on all things Afropunk. Well, and that's our show for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us in Washington, have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. A lot of American English idioms refer to parts of the body.
Get off on the wrong foot.
Are Anna and Jonathan having trouble learning a dance?
How did it go meeting your girlfriend's family?
Well, it was interesting. First, I was really late.
Oh, Jonathan.
Yeah, and then at dinner I spilled my water all